I had a moment when I was 17. I didn't have in-ear monitors, but I'd been wearing earplugs when I played and seeing shows for several years at that point. And I was walking home with my girlfriend from her house. We lived like, I don't know, half a mile apart or something. And on the way home, I stopped being able to hear out of one of my ears. And I was like, what's going on? Like, this is terrible. So we got home and I told my dad, it was like a Saturday afternoon. And he's like, you just need to clean your ears out. So he pulls out this like blue ear syringe that clearly he had used. He's like, yeah. He's like, you just put some hydrogen peroxide in, you let it sit for a second, and then you flush it out with this.
It's the same thing you use for baby snot.
It's the same. It looks like the same. Bulb. Yeah, it's the little bulb syringe. Yeah, exactly.
The ear wash system. Yeah.
You can buy them for $14 on Amazon, and I'll tell you, sometimes I do this certainly once a year, if not twice a year, and I'm able to flush this stuff out, and sometimes very little comes out, and sometimes you would be shocked at what comes out.
Yeah, it's pretty gnarly.
It's pretty gnarly, but you can always hear better.
But you have to be careful of that. Here's the thing. Okay, there are a couple of factors to this. Okay,
yep.
One is that once you begin cleaning them, you will need to always clean them. Because you now need cerumen is the earwax. You need cerumen. In Florida, you really want cerumen in your ears because it keeps the bugs and the mites and the okay. That there's a purpose to earwax. Okay, impacted earwax is different.
That's the
problem. Jam your
right.
plugs in, and eventually it compresses and compresses and compresses and compresses. It's the same thing as like you have to clean your dryer vent or it doesn't heat it anymore, right?
Yep.
You have a dryer and the lint builds up in the thing. Okay, so a couple of things about this. You want to keep your ears reasonably clean. You want to allow your body, a healthy body, the same way you grow fingernails and everything else. You want some cerumen in your ears. You want that to live there. It's a very important thing to protect you. It's a line of defense, like nose hair.
No, this is really smart.
Trim, okay.
Yep.
The other thing is that you want to stay away from some of these big, heavy-duty irrigation systems. Some of them are okay. They're better for your sinuses than they are for your ears in a lot of cases. Which is important.
And I will say, neither of us are doctors. If you have even the slightest question about what you're going to do, talk to a doctor who knows you and your specific ears and body and all of these things. And I tell my doctors that I do this. I'll be like, oh yeah, I wear earplugs and ear monitors all the time, and so I wind up cleaning my own ears. And have that conversation with your doctors so that they know what you're doing too.
Even your primary care doctor.
Even your PCP. Okay? Yeah, exactly.
The thing about caring for your ears is sort of like your eyes and your teeth. Like nobody really wants to go to the dentist, but you have to if you want to keep your teeth.
Sure.
Okay, so the thing that happens when you talk to your either even if it's not an ENT or an audiologist, go to a specialist, go to an otolaryngologist who can actually look at the plumbing between your nose and your ears. That's why they're called ENTs, ear, nose, and throat. It's all connected. So if you have any hearing issue, if you leave a gig and you can't hear, shut everything off, stop, don't give your ears anything, and let your ears relax, okay? Because hearing fatigue can happen within about 12 seconds. If you are wearing an earpiece like a cheap, in the old days though, they were awful. When people were first jumping in, they would wear these really shrill, tinny earpieces that were consumer products. They'd put them in their ears. They'd blow up because they didn't have enough resistance to wear on stage. So they'd turn them up, and then all of a sudden they'd be on stage and they'd get dizzy or they'd lose pitch and I can't hear the note, because hearing fatigue, it works like any other fatigue in the human body. If you walk down the street in New York City or in San Francisco and you smell the city smell and the smell, you go like, oh man. And after a couple of minutes, you can't smell it anymore, even though you're still in the same place, because your brain will desensitize to it. Your brain will shut it off. It does that with sound. You hear people who work in movies and they work on green screens, and after a while, or on blue screens, and after a while, your brain shuts that color off. Your brain does that with sound. what'll happen is your equilibrium will go off, or you won't be able to sing, or you won't be able to hear. So you want to make sure that if that hearing fatigue kicks in and you can't hear those notes anymore, that you shut it down. Give yourself a break, walk away, stop, whatever you need to do. See a professional as quickly as you can. Not because something horrible is wrong, but because you need to know where your jumping off point is. The second thing is when you clean your ears, never use ear candles. This ear candle fallacy is a dangerous proposition. And it was a trendy thing for a while. The risk is so high. The benefits are not, they're just not that. It's gross, and everybody's like, oh, look, you use the ear candle and you pull this garbage out of your head. And it's like, no. Use a simple ear wash. It takes less time, it's much less expensive, and you won't risk not only burning yourself, but doing serious damage to your canals, to your tympanic membrane, which is your eardrum.
And I will add to that, and I've done this, I don't recommend it. Somebody for Christmas one year gave me one of those kits that you pair with your phone, and it's got a little camera on it, and you can dig the earwax out of the impacted wax out of your ear with the camera. Some people love watching these videos on TikTok. Sure, whatever. As with anything, something that goes that far into your ear, like you're not just flushing it out now, you are going in and scraping this stuff out. You're going to get really close to some of the really sensitive stuff in your ear. It can be cool. Talk about a hand-eye coordination exercise. It's like it breaks my brain when I use this thing. But
look around.
I don't recommend using this thing.
Know what you're doing. Even if you don't know what you're doing, look around, and if it looks having these little video otoscopes and things. If you look in your ear and it looks like you and I are both wearing red earpieces today, and if it's not that nice healthy pink color and it looks red like that, immediately go to a hearing specialist. Immediately. And I don't mean red like the color of when you put a flashlight behind your fingers and you go, look, my hand's red, as a kid. I'm talking about if you look in your ear with one of those little LED light with the camera on it, and you're looking at your phone and you see what's clearly tissue that is unhealthy, immediately stop. Always. And people also think that audiologists, which in most hearing aid centers have them, that it's not a huge expense. People are always saying, oh man, I don't want to go to you want to go to a good one. It's easy to find a good one. All the, as you talked about on the show before, all the ear companies can refer you to somebody. But if you go to somebody locally, you talk to your primary care physician, you say, I need someone to really check beyond just looking in my head. Something's clearly wrong and I saw it. Can I get it checked out? It's not a huge expense, and you will save. It's as important as a musician. You don't want to damage your hands. Imagine if you damaged your ears. Think of you're dead in the water.
You're dead. Yeah,
I mean,
it's not good.
But anyway,
so clean your ears, but be careful doing it. Just know that you're doing something atypical to your ears when you're putting earplugs in all the time or putting ear monitors in. You will wind up with this, and it makes a huge difference. If once you get that impacted stuff out, you can I'll
the
never forget
simplest way is always the best way. If you have to use the ear wash 5 times, it's still better. Because some people use it once and they go like, really?
It didn't work. Oh no, I probably fill like a small like tumbler glass with fairly warm, not hot, but definitely not cold water. And I basically empty the glass. No, you don't want to burn it, but you also don't want it to be cold. I fill it. I fill the glass, and then I use basically all of the water in the glass on one ear. And then I fill the glass again, and I use all the water in the glass on another ear, which is probably...
There's a good trick for that too, Dave.
What's that?
If you go to any beauty supply place and they have those little tubs for washing hair that have the little notch out of it where you put your head back, it's a little plastic container.
Yeah.
If you put your head on the side of one of those and you use the wax, you're over the thing, it doesn't go anywhere. You can use warm water, squeeze it, let it drain out. You have to wait. The trick to using the ear wash, this is so nasty, is when you put the drops in, you have to wait until it bubbles up in your ear Because
it
the
will drive you
peroxide,
if you use the peroxide.
but it works
Yeah,
great.
I don't always, because I've gotten to a point where I know what I can do with my ears. But yeah, if they're pretty bad, you put some peroxide or whatever the wash is in.
You want the wash. Don't use like straight hydrogen peroxide. Like, don't buy a bottle of peroxide and pour it in your head. Like the washes are a certain
dilute
percentage.
it down. Yeah, you want to dilute it down. Yeah.
No,
you're right. Use the stuff that's meant for your ears.
Yeah.
But I'll lay on one side, like I'll put a towel down, I'll lay on the couch or whatever and watch like a show for 10 minutes, because it takes 10 minutes for that to bubble. And it is it will itch. It will itch so badly, and you just got to leave it alone. But it does help.